Yo, what's up, everybody? Randy here, Nerds Templar. This is the live viewing of Beyond Lumina, episode 16, The Eye. This is also the halfway point. We just passed the halfway point of the story, I should say. Uh, the halfway point, of course, being between episode 15 and 16, this being a 30 episode book, season, whatever you want to call it, series, chapter, not chapter. The episodes act like chapters. If you're curious, if you're new, I suggest not watching, actually. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but instead, if you may be interested in something like this, a homebrew story, I suggest going back and watching the first couple episodes, maybe seeing if it's something you'd be interested in. And if you are, there's now 16 episodes out, and like I said, this is the beginning of the second half of the story. Um, so there's that. There's quite a bit here. If you've been waiting for more to come out before starting, you know, we're at the point now where in early, actually the first week of December is when we're going to be finishing up. Wednesdays and Saturday mornings both are when we stream this, and so we're two episodes a week. It doesn't take too long to get through. I mean, really, just 15 weeks if we went straight through. But the first 10 episodes were posted a while ago. In fact, 2 years ago. So yeah, quite a while. We in fact went just through those recently. Did live viewings of those just to kind of get them back in rotation on the channel. And then after we viewed live those first 10, we started releasing the rest, and of course also watching them live. And so episode 16 will drop in 15 minutes, actually 14 minutes now, and we'll probably begin in about 10 minutes or so, still a little before that. And yeah, so yeah, that's that's what we're gonna do. Like and subscribe. Like I said, if you are actually watching this live, maybe don't, because I don't think anyone's really at this point listened to any of the story. Unfortunately, at least the whole thing. Just many have listened to some, I should say. Many people have listened to some of it. I don't know if anybody has listened to the whole thing. I did lose my editor for this next, I guess maybe after episode 11 or 12. So unfortunately, it's just, whatever I can edit on my own. It's always good to have a second pair of eyes, second set of eyes on things. No pun intended for the uh, story episode here. But yeah, what I was going to say is every episode's about 10 pages written on Google Docs, so a little longer than 10 novel pages. And I do keep it to a pretty strict 10-page thing, so I can end up with 300 pages total after 30 episodes. That's what we're shooting for. Might end up being 32 episodes. I don't think so, but we may have to add a couple more in. I'm trying to just keep it to 30 though. And of course, that's just this first book. This is called the Book of Aezic. I believe that's in the description. If not, I should put it there. This is, the Book of Aezic. Aezic Zin, the main character. We will, I'll give a brief summary of like the main part of the story, and then get into giving a previously on, which is going to be spoilerific. So just give me one moment here, and I will do that. And take off. That was Aezic. We just removed there. That's Aezic. The other main characters we met early, Vala Rees, both of those lieutenant and sergeant in the Free World Alliance, one of the three major powers in the star system of Lumina. Lumina is a star. And Zario, one person that Aezic met early on in his search for his family when he went home to his home world of Ravina, saw that it was ravaged by war, met both Vala and then Zario there. Zario was helping him. Both were helping him. Zario helping him. Secondly, was posing as a Ravinian military soldier, and he ended up. I'm gonna throw the spoilers thing on here, by the way. And he ended up, along with his crew, trying to betray Aezic, and in turn being betrayed himself. The entire crew, losing one of their members, and yeah, eventually escaping though with Aezic, from the place in which they were being betrayed, and then escaping to a Free World Alliance world where Aezic was then found out then he was wanted by his own Free World Alliance for treason, suspected of treason, and so he goes on the run with Vala, who's actually also on mission to keep tabs on him by her commander, Sergeant Major Ravim, Ty Ravim, and but they're both then saved by Zario and the crew, who split up from Aezic to because they're not necessarily friends. But he comes back, Zario and the rest come back, even though really nobody else cares for them. Zario is the only one really who wants to do it, but he's the leader of the mercenary crew, and so they go back, rescue Aezic, get off of the planet known as Sotama, which is the Free World Alliance planet, and then go on the run, find themselves basically crashed in space, drifting to their doom. They're saved by a group of salvagers from a place known as Kostia. One of the leader of the salvagers was pictured there, known as Photoglaus. Takes them to their homeworld, even though it's not necessarily forbidden for Outlanders to go to Kostia, a world subjugated for a very long time by one of the other three powers, major powers in the star system, known as the Royal Ascendancy. And so they're subjugated. They're a religious folk. They're not allowed to discuss their faith or talk, let anyone know about what they believe. Any off-worlders, and that is exactly, of course, what Photoglass there does. Takes everybody, Aezic, Vala, Zario, and the rest you see here, and teaches them, because he thinks that it's time for something. You'd have to listen to the story to get all the deets, but that's where we pretty much stand. I think that's a good. There's Zario there, Zario's crew, Valanth and Hawk, and their Hawk's subordinates, if you will, quote unquote. They're all just a group of friends, really. Billany and Usian, and under Valanth are Mecca and Argyle. Now they all split up. Hawk was the one that was lost early on when they were betraying Aezic. Zario is still with Aezic and Vala. They were all on the world of Kostia, except for Hawk, of course, but then Valanth, Mecca, and Argyle take the ship once it's repaired and go to find Hawk, and so that leaves Billany, Usion, and the three, Zario, Vala, and Aezic, who then, once the Ascendancy quickly finds out that there's off-worlders on Kostia, and they also have an inkling of who they might be, they send that's Vala's superior, who sends her off to find Aezic early on. There's his other subordinate, Ravim's other subordinate, Master Sergeant Maloon, who's now on her way to find Vala, because they haven't heard from her for a very long time. We've heard from Voss and Benta. They are from the third of the three major powers in the world, known as the Tansorian Federation. They're from the world of Sor, a private, of course, you see there, and a sergeant, his sergeant. And there's Glaus again, the one that saved them and brought them back. Blem and Clarence both were unsure. Blem was very unsure and not happy, not pleased that Glaus brought these Outlanders to the temple, to their main temple, in fact, on the world. Clarence was also unsure, but then she, in fact, was teaching Vala quite a bit, who had a sort of an episode whenever they got there and was acting very strangely, had a vision or something along those lines, and talked to Clarence about it for a while, and Clarence told her quite a bit about what they believe. Well, quite a bit about the generic stuff of what they believe. Abila there, their leader, the leader of the group, religious organization group, reprimanding Glaus, drop Crag and Nail, drop the person in charge of what happens on Kostia, and his subordinates, Crag and Nail, along with the rest of their soldiers, show up, try to find the Outlanders. They are unsuccessful, so he orders all his subordinates to go basically kidnap a Kostian, take him back to their ship. They then return for Drop, get him, and then in the meanwhile, Dodds is the corporal, the subordinate of Maloon there, and they're both on their way to find Vala. I should move his picture up there so I don't have to scroll like that. But yeah, they're both on their way to find Vala right now. Rini, Aezic met her, a Kostian, on Kostia, and they kind of had a quick thing for each other, but at the same time they're almost polar opposites. So there was a bit of that kind of tension as well. Later, they find out that Rini's father was one that was taken by the Ascendancy because of these Outlanders that are here, even though it's not necessarily their fault that that Photoglass decided to do all the things that he did. And Aezic is not very happy about it either, that the Kostians are risking themselves, and it's all because of them. And they didn't ask for that, for any of it. And it could have also been avoided, they think, of course. But then Rini, after reprimanding Aezic and not wanting anything to do with the Outlanders because they were the reason her father was taken, and calling them, in particular Aezic, savages, she then comes looking for them once they come back for Glass and take him, and she asks them for their help in saving the Kostians. So Zario, Vala, and Aezic, the three of them, pose as pirates, board the ship, take the Royal Ascendancy ship while it's on its way back to the capital world with all the prisoners, namely Glaus. It's shot at by one of the other Royal Ascendancy vessels that finds them, and they have to crash land in a pod on a pre-space world known as Inagon, which is a capital offense around the whole star system because it's a world that has no space technology and no contact. Thus, because of that, with any outside worlds, and it's supposed to remain that way, or for higher ups to deal with what might happen, and so it's the worst offense for them to do so, to land there, but they have to. And so it's those three, the Kostians, Glaus, and the others. We find one of the others that are there is a boy named, who attempts to help a few times, named Artis, and he's scared. He's a scared Kostian, like all the Kostians, very passive, but for some reason he feels like he's called to do something, and filled with courage from time to time that quickly goes away and just leaves him sort of frightened in frightening positions that he's not prepared for, and then feeling bad about himself afterwards because he doesn't quite do what he had hoped he would do. Anywho, once they're there, everyone gets split, and Aezic and Vala get taken by natives. Zario gets taken by Ascendancy, who happens to be on the planet. Unbeknownst to everybody, they have already established contact, subjugated the world basically secretly. And after the natives, the chief named Oshu, in particular, learns enough about Aezic and the rest, he asks Aezic for his help in not only rescuing Zario from the Ascendancy, but destroying the facility, the Ascendancy facility on the mainland just across from the island that they're on, and ridding the world of the bad guys. And so that is pretty much where we are. I think there's a couple other things, yeah. So while we are on the pod, in the pod still, before the natives came for the rest of the crash-landed people, Grim, the last of the Ascendancy, captured Ascendancy soldiers, still there. When the others come back to try to take the pod from Artis and Glaus and the rest of the Kostians because they're weak and there's nobody else there to defend them, Grim steps in, even though he's cuffed. He serendipitously has a plasma pistol skid toward him. He grabs it and he decides to save the Kostians, and then they all get captured right afterward by the Inagon, the name of the pre-space planet. The Inagon soldiers come to get them. In the meantime, Jay makes contact there. He's a Ravinian soldier named early on, in fact, in the story. Makes contact with the Saurians, Boss and Benta, and he tells them a lot of things about their missing prime minister and other bad stuff. He tells the general known as General Gaster, who Beta goes to find, because that's who Jay came to find secretly with a secret message. And so given to Gaster and and the others actually. He forms a secret squad to go out with Jay and the Ravinian soldiers, secret Ravinian soldiers, out to their secret location, which is a flagship. We meet Rend on Inagon. He's the High Master, Ascendancy High Master, in charge of things on the pre-space planet where they're, doing secret stuff. He is not happy that Drop and the others have arrived. It's supposed to remain a secret. Was not part of the plan for those people to come there. So he kills Drop. He wants to see the rest of the Ascendancy soldiers, of course. We don't know anything else that happened there. Zario, of course, is there with him. So, yeah. And Otteron, we met at the very end. We met him early, and then we met him again. He's was the fake leader of the Ravinians that was actually like the commanding officer of Zario and the rest before they were turned on by him. And so then Valent, they're all then captured in Ravina. That is Hawk and the rest, Mecha, Argyle, and Valenth. When they go to find Hawk, they're all then captured on Ravina. And of course, the one in charge they already know is known as Master Omen, who's actually an Ascendancy leader himself. And that is where we are. They're captured on Ravina. Aezic and the rest are getting prepared for war, basically, to save Zario and destroy the Ascendancy facility on the other side. Yeah, they're all captured now. Filony and Usian wait back on Kostia for the rest. Foss and the others, they actually arrive at the flagship and find out, Jay finds out, is told by one of the Ravinian soldiers there that there is some news about Aezic on the news. And so they go to, well, you would assume he goes to find out what that is. And that, my friends, is where we begin. Episode 16. Just a little past time, but that's okay. All right, let's do it. Let me switch over here to make sure my sound is off, and turn the spoiler thing off. All right, without further ado, episode 16, Beyond Lumina, the Eye. Beyond Lumina, episode 16, the Eye. Alarms flashed and blared as a chemical laboratory burned and poisonous liquids spilled from massive vats. The security crew, equipped with safety gear, fought back the group of terrorists who had infiltrated the compound and attempted to steal the secrets within. Plasma fire sprayed from both ends, each shot nearly causing a catastrophic explosion that would have surely wiped out everything within a 100-mile radius. Many of the lab's guards fell in the fight, but they continued to hold their own. Suddenly, another huge vat toppled over and spilled its toxic fluid into an already raging fire, causing the flames to then fill nearly half of the large room. Seeing an imminent chain reaction, the guards fled, locking the final security hatches, leaving the infiltrators to their doom. As the small group of terrorists attempted to flee, they had only one route, and it was quickly closing. One of the group, a well-built young man, led the pack and made it to the rapidly dropping Aetherium door. Throwing his body underneath it, he put every ounce of strength he had into keeping it up long enough for the rest of his crew to make it through. "Hurry!" he shouted to them as his hold began to fail. Behind them, the burning liquids had caused vaporous fumes to begin filling the facility. His allies, 6 of them, made it through the narrow exit just before the poisonous gas reached the upper levels where they were. But it was too late for the young man holding the door. He let out a sickly heave as he lost his grasp under the colossal weight of the door. "Zario!" one of the others shouted, as two more lunged for him. Zario awakened suddenly, a cold sweat covering his entire body. Once he recollected himself, he let out a sigh. All this talk about the past is making me relive it even in my dreams, he thought. Then he heard footsteps approaching. A guard was coming toward his prison cell. I guess the door woke me up. "Hey there, you little test subject," the guard mocked him. "Or maybe we'll just call you Patient Zero. I hope you enjoy your stay with us, not because you'll be comfortable, of course, but because you'll be contributing such a great deal to the future of progress." The guard yanked Zario up and started leading him out of the cell. "You should really feel honored that you are able to play such a momentous part in such a historic undertaking. You know what I'm talking about. Certainly I don't need to bother you with any details." "Will you shut up?" Zario acted unamused. "Or I'll be progressing your future." "Tough talk for a sick, imprisoned man," the guard laughed. "Tough talk for a lackey who only sees enemies in chains," Zario replied. That one got the jailer. "Yeah? Well, we will see how tough you are once you're strapped down and the doctor gets a hold of you. You won't even be able to think up those little comebacks of yours through all the excruciating pain, let alone run that big mouth. I'll be sure to enjoy every one of your screams, though." Zario and the guard then entered a massive laboratory, a facility with all sorts of advanced machinery and various tests being run on various unknown substances and materials. Zario's stomach turned, as he again was reminded of that day in the past, one of a few days that shaped the course of his life and that of his friends. Then he was taken to the doctor, and an old fire inside him was rekindled. "Zario Launer," the doctor said, very pleased. "At last we meet again." Valence stared down Master Omen, also known as Captain Otteron, now again under his command, and awaited whatever wild task the Ascendancy leader could come up with for him. "There is in fact one job in particular I need handled right now that you are especially suited for, with your uncanny marksmanship." "And what is it?" Valence responded impatiently. "For you, something simple. I need you to take care of a Ravinian rebel leader, somewhere between Panya and Cronus. He's not out and about very often, and difficult to pin down when he is. We've had a lot of trouble getting a bead on him, but other than that, the group is more just a nuisance. Without him, they'll fall apart. Take care of it. That'll be a good first step for you reclaiming your position. Maybe this time you won't relinquish it." "Whatever you say, Omen," Valence answered. "Do you have any other info about the guy, or should I just search half the planet for him?" "Talk as tough as you want. You're mine now," replied Master Omen. "However, there is a little more information. First, Just then, another undercover Ascendancy soldier came rushing through the doorway. "Captain Otteron, sir," he shouted. "It's time! It has begun!" A look of amusement crept across Omen's face. "What perfect timing. Change of plans, mercenary. You are going to escort me to Cronus Prime." "For what?" Valence asked. "What has begun?" "Ravina's ruin, of course," Omen said. "And you get a front row seat." "But it seems you're one lucky guy," said a guardsman to a prisoner. "The battle's begun, so we have orders to stay your execution. For the moment, anyway." "One lucky guy," Hawk repeated. "Yeah, that's what they're always calling me." Just throw him in with the others. It won't be long now, said another guard. They led Hawk back to the jail cells and imprisoned him with Mecca and Argyle. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere now, the second guard laughed, locked the door, and left with the other guard. Hawk, Mecca cried out and embraced him. I'm so glad you're still alive. I appreciate it, Hawk replied, and thanks for the rescue attempt. I'm glad you guys didn't get hurt. And these buffoons just made our escape much, much easier. But I can't imagine Zario approving of this rescue. What are you guys doing here? No, he was going to leave you and go off on a mission with that Aezic Zin guy, Mecca replied coolly. He didn't care what happened to you, so we came on our own. Hawk sighed. I get it, and thanks again. But after everything we've been through, you should know better than to think that way about your brother. After all, he was already willing to die for us more than once. In fact, I was already planning on my escape before I heard you all were here. But now that we're together, let's get out of this place right now. We haven't seen Valen for a while now, though. Mecca again returned to her somber attitude. We have no idea what they did to him. He's still alive for now, with Master Omen, Hawk began. The guard told me he tried to bargain for our lives, but he wasn't going to honor his end. They only stayed my execution because of some kind of battle. Not sure what that means. It doesn't sound very good, but it gave us the chance we needed. We'll just have to find him on the way out. From a fold in his garments, Hawk then produced a small chip of some sort and worked it into a groove in his synth cuffs. All right, stand back now, he said coolly as he approached the prison bars. Wait, what are you? Argyle began to ask, but then realized his suspicions were correct when Hawk started swinging his cuffs toward the door, so he grabbed Mecca and dove to the floor, Argyle shielding her from debris as Hawk slammed his cuffed hands into the door, which detonated the chip in the cuffs, exploding both the cuffs and the door, unbinding Hawk and freeing them all. Hawk's arms and back were badly wounded from the blast, but he did his best to ignore the pain and press on, something he was accustomed to, traveling in the company of Zario. Hawk! Mecca screamed once more, this time out of concern for his safety. Don't worry about me, Hawk grimaced. Hurry up, let's get out of here. We'll get your cuffs off in a second. Mecca and Argyle ran out of the cell, and Hawk quickly followed. Down the corridor they soon came upon a guard post, where they were able to find the equipment to remove the other synth cuffs, which they took along with them for when they found Valen. Now what? Argyle asked. Do you know how to get out of here? Not quite, but this'll help. Hawk produced a security card from another hidden pocket. How did you manage that? Argyle asked, impressed. These guards aren't the brightest, Hawk replied, as he also checked a nearby data station. Didn't take much to get them to let their guard down. Same way I got my hands on that CP chip. He pointed at the data station, which showed information on the layout of the facility. Looks like this would be our best route. Let's hope most of the guards left like the others. What about Valen? Mecca asked. If he's not down here, Hawk started, then it's probably safe to assume he's still with Omen somewhere above. If Omen plans on using him, I'd bet that if nothing else, we'll find both of them heading to the site of this battle the guards were talking about. I say let's make our way there. The now notorious ex-lieutenant of the Free World Alliance, Aezic Zin, has now done the unthinkable. With his crew, he has trespassed on the pre-space world of Inagon, thereby committing one of the greatest crimes possible in our system. Traversing the boundaries of political and military powers, even in the time of war, the Free World Alliance, the Royal Ascendancy, and the Tansorian Federation have all denounced the actions of Aezic Zin and his terrorist group. They assure us that all efforts will be made to capture the group before they cause any more irreparable harm. In other system-wide news, A fleet of Royal Ascendancy battleships has re-entered the space of Free World Alliance planet Ravina, making an open declaration of war and pressuring once again the precious Aetherium mines located on this now nearly desolate world. Most living there have already been evacuated or taken to a safe shelter, but with the new Ascendancy reinforcements, Ravina may not long be in the hands of the Free World Alliance. We will keep you updated on what transpires in this new battle here on the Lumina News Network. Jay made it to the command center in time to hear both pieces of news, both of which sent his head spinning. Oh man, Aezic, what in Lumina did you get yourself into? Jay asked, mostly himself. Then he turned to another in the room. What are we going to do, Captain? Can't let them take Ravina. Do you think you can get to Aezic? The captain asked Jay. And you'll take the fleet to Ravina? Jay replied. Yes, the captain answered. We shouldn't have to deal with their super ion weapons this time around. They need Ravina. If we can get past their blockade, then we'll be able to establish a defensive position on world. You'll need to do it quickly and figure out how to return here without too much delay, Jay said. They'll be defenseless here without you. Yes, on that subject, the captain began, then started out of the room. Jay followed, and the captain spoke once more when they met back up with the Prime Minister of Sor and General Gaster. Prime Minister, General, have you had time to properly discuss the matters at hand? We have, as much as time allows for, the Prime Minister answered, and we are in agreement about what must be done. But what of the news about Aezic? It's not good, the captain replied. We've got two problems and need a change of plans. Aezic and his crew are on Enegon and now being targeted by all three major powers. That can't be, the Prime Minister exclaimed. I have my suspicions about who may have given the order, but I can't be sure. This is not good at all. What is the other news? Ravina is being attacked once again by the Ascendancy. It sounds like a full invasion. I need to take the fleet there immediately, but we aren't going to be able to drive them off on our own. We will need your help for both of these missions. I understand, answered the Prime Minister. General, please take your crew back to Sor and overturn this matter about Lieutenant Zin with my seal. And muster whatever forces you can to go aid in the defense of Ravina. I'm counting on you, my friend. He quickly scrawled something and gave it his signature and seal, then handed it to General Gaster. I won't fail you, my lord, he said. You can count on me. Let's go, men. Back to Sor. We've got a war to win. As the Saurian soldiers filed back onto the frigate, the general called out once more. You two, Sergeant Beta and the private, come back here. Beta and Gabas looked at one another, then turned back toward their commander. I want you to stay here with the Prime Minister and make sure he is safe. Do not take your eyes off of him. Oh, yes, sir. Sergeant Beta recollected himself and saluted. It's an honor to be chosen for such a task, sir. Gabas imitated the gesture. Good, the Prime Minister gave them a warm smile. Now off, hurry. Do not worry, Captain Zin. We will save your brother yet. Chief Oshu, Aezic, Laos, and a few native warriors peered at a map of the nearby region. The chief spoke. With all their security and surveillance, there is no way we can make a direct approach of the facility, either from this side or the other. But what the Supreme Order is not aware of is that there are underwater coves that can bring us very near to their shores without them being able to detect us, until it is too late. But it's going to take some heavy scouting of the shores before we can safely enter the coves from our side. They will still be able to see us from the other end with their equipment, if we're not careful. Well, we happen to have some equipment of our own that may help in that, Aezic answered. I'll have to go along with the scouting party in order to use it, though.
Vala spoke up from behind them. Let me go instead, Aezic. You should stay here with everyone. There's no need to put you in that kind of danger, Aezic replied without turning around. Let me help, please, she returned. I'll be fine, and I would like to see a little more of this world, especially if we're about to get into a major battle. Aezic thought for a moment, then said, All right, fine, just be careful out there. The chief looked up at Aezic, as though he was unsure about letting her go. Then Aezic added, Let these warriors deal with the tough stuff. Just hang back and operate the equipment. You can count on me, Vala smiled. Then Aezic handed her a captain-class issued, handheld detection device. Artis then found the courage to speak up as well. I will go with her then, if that's okay. Hold on now, my boy, Photoglass now interjected. You've shown your bravery enough for one adventure. Perhaps you should stay here with us this time. I see no reason why you should send this young woman out, the chief broke in, and not the young man. If you fear he cannot look after himself, perhaps this mission would do him some good. If not, he will just be a burden whenever the real battle begins. But Chief, you must understand, Glass continued. He has not been trained for this type of thing like Sergeant Rees has. Tell me, Holy One, the chief said respectfully, do you think this young man has time left for proper training? He can either learn now, while he still has a chance, or remain one needing saved. I can do it, Foder, Artis reassured him. Please, I need to help if I can. Oh, all right, Glass finally conceded. But you must remain with Sergeant Rees and the other warriors. Do not venture from their side. I will keep my eye on him, Vala now said. As they left, Aezic took Vala aside. If you find anything else out there of interest, let me know. Anything that we might not be suspecting. And be careful. Okay, she answered. And I will, don't worry. Besides, we've already been in much more dangerous situations than this. I finally feel like I can relax for a moment. Just don't relax too much, Aezic cautioned. Chief Oshu then appeared with the Inagon scouts. It is time. Are you ready, Vala Rees? He asked. I am, she replied, then turned back to Aezic. I'll see you soon. Then she made her way out of the treetop city with Artis and the Inagon warriors. Hawk, Mecha, and Argyle fled the lower levels of the Animov compound, eventually finding themselves in the military section. Guys, Mecha said as they ran, do you think those alarms are for us? Red lights and sirens had just started blaring throughout the facility. Ducking into an official-looking room, the trio headed for another data station, which showed a self-destruction sequence and an evacuation warning. They only had minutes to spare. Yeah, I'd say those alarms are for us. And everyone else, Hawk started. Let's go, hurry. They then ran as fast as they could through the corridors, eventually bursting their way into the open main room of the facility, where the ceiling resembled the clear Ravinian sky. All of the people that had been gathered there were going about their business as usual, and there was no sign of any alarms now. They have no idea, Mecha gasped. Quickly, get them all out, Hawk shouted. Then all three of them began frantically shouting to all the nearby citizens, trying to explain what was about to happen. Some looked at them puzzledly, some quickly shuffled off to get away from them, but others started to heed what they were shouting. Soon, the consensus of the masses began to sway toward believing Hawk and the others, and panic quickly ensued, as the citizens climbed over one another to get to their homes, gather what belongings they could, and flee the compound. Hawk, Mecha, and Argyle did their best to get them out in an orderly way, but eventually time ran short, and they too had to get out of the building. Exiting the compound, they entered the biting anima of cold. "Hurry," Hawk continued shouting to the people. "Get as far away as you can." The people fearfully scurried away, dragging their things along with them, dropping some as they went. Then, the time ran out, the facility exploded, and the blast shook the ground for miles, throwing debris far into the air and deafening everyone nearby. The large building continued to burn fiercely, and other smaller explosions further demolished it. "What do we do now?" Mecca shouted so she could be heard. "We aren't going to last out here very long dressed like this." Hawk thought for a second. "Remember the cave system? How far is that from here?" "Nearly 10 miles or so," Argyle answered him. "We don't have another choice," Hawk started. "Hurry and start rounding these people up. Find some of them that can help you do that. Let's get going." Together the crew gathered the freezing Ravinian citizens and slowly got them moving in the direction of the cave network that the mercenaries had passed many times on their missions in the northern region. Hawk racked his cold brain over how they were going to survive once they made it to the caves. Even more, how they were going to make it back to civilization, thousands of miles away, where he presumed the battle was now beginning. The several-mile trek took the huge group nearly a rotation to complete, and many were very sick and near death by the time they reached the caves. But they still weren't safe from the anima of cold. "Anyone still able, we need to light as many fires as we can, and gather some of the nearby stones to help block the entrance," Hawk directed. "Hurry, there are your neighbors' lives at stake here." Then he turned to his friends. "Mecca, stay here and coordinate this. Argyle, come with me to secure the rest of this cave." The two quickly made their way farther into the passage, weapons they had picked up on their escape drawn, in case of any of several dangerous beasts yet to be exterminated from Ravina that may have taken up residence within. Eventually they came toward the end. "Doesn't look like there's anything here," Argyle said. "Well," Hawk paused for a moment, trying to get a better look at something in the back. "I'd say you're half right." The two approached the very back of the cavern, and there at the far wall was something large underneath a dirty cover of some sort. Hawk reached down and yanked the cover away, which came off easily. Then he laughed. "Man, you gotta love that Zario, don't you?" There before them was a couple of grav bikes and other equipment, which Hawk had no doubt was hidden there by none other than their own leader. "That man's got a knack for saving our skin, even when he isn't here." Bala, Artis, and the Inagon scouts made their way quickly but silently through the dense forest that the natives called home, nearing the coast that overlooked the large continent on which the Ascendancy had set up their base of operations here on the pre-space planet. The day was filled by the scouts beginning in one central location and slowly making their way outward, thoroughly checking that the forest was completely clear of any enemy interference. Vala and Artis remained in the central position, and from the detection device monitored the movement of the scouts and anyone else that may be approaching. The device covered a very large radius, so that the scouts could at least rest easier, knowing there wouldn't be any enemy ambush. After a long scouring of the area around what was the cove entrance, the scouts returned to Vala and Artis. The leader of them spoke in broken common to them. "We rest here until light." It had already turned to dusk, as Lumina had just gone over the horizon. The scouting group fixed up their camp, made a small fire, then eventually turned in for the night. With little fear that they'd be attacked now, they only set one person on a night watch. Vala's watch came in the darkest part of the night. She didn't mind taking one, and it wouldn't be for very long before she would wake the next person. She sat there, staring into the smoldering fire, until she was less groggy. Looking at the detection device absentmindedly, she then noticed it was detecting another life form, still a ways in the distance. The difference, however, was that it was detecting the presence of another Alliance soldier, due to the bioscanning technology to which all the Ascendancy soldiers are required to submit. The device, just like all devices linked in with the Ascendancy bioscans, also showed her the name of the soldier. Avala looked around and silently crept from the camp, trying not to wake any of the other members of the party. She'd have to be quick if she wanted to be back before rousing suspicion. She rapidly moved toward the signal's location, wondering what exactly to expect when she reached it. Quickening her pace, she was able to reach the source in no time. The dense thicket opened into a small grove, and there she found the Alliance soldier. "Master Sergeant Maloon," Vala said, "how in Lumina did you find me? And how did you get here without the natives seeing you?" "Grease," Sergeant Maloon replied, turning toward Vala, slightly surprised by her sudden appearance. "Well, you made things a lot easier on me. I should be the one asking how you found me. But either way, we don't have time for your inquiries. Sergeant Major Ravim wants an update on your mission."
All right, episode 16. There it is. Things are, you could say, coming together. So we had, let me turn the spoilers on right now, immediately. As we recap what just happened, a few different things, and this is the benefit, the perks of watching the live, even if you're not watching it live. The reason I keep doing this is because if someone's going to watch in the future, you know, just the regular episodes, the videos of them, maybe they get interested enough that they want the extra behind the scenes of what you get in the video on demand, which is from the stream, which is this. So that's why I keep doing it. Not because I want people to necessarily tune in live and watch. I would like that if people were actually caught up to the story. But you know, in the meantime, it's just really, I'm just doing it just for to get it into the log, the backlog there. Is basically an extended behind the scenes version of every episode is what it comes down to. Speaking of extended versions, I also considered maybe doing extended. Now that you've gotten to this last point, there's been some points like the whole Bohawk situation before we had Valenth, Mecha, and Argyle reach him on Ravina. There's parts of the story that are not necessarily cut out, but are cut out of the story. Sometimes for you know, length reasons, time constraint reasons, but other times just for, you know, for keeping things mysterious. Sometimes for both reasons. But yeah, at the end, so again, big spoilers here for what just happened. We heard a little bit of extra stuff about Zario and the rest of the mercenaries from back before they met Aezic. Had a little bit of a dream in the beginning there of Zario's dream. Learned a little bit. Hawk sort of reprimanding Mecha there a little bit, Zario's younger sister, for not listening to him, not trusting him, because of all that he's already done for them, is what is not more than implied by Hawk there. But one of the big things, of course, we knew that Master Sergeant, being the reader, that Maloon and her subordinate Dodds were on their way to finding Vala, and we also knew that they knew that Vala and Aezic were on Inagon, and so they were on their way there. That's why, of course, Vala saw them there, because they're there. And so that happens. They meet there at the very end. Vala finds her, as Maloon's sort of looking for her. Of course, surprised that Vala found her.
And yeah, I guess we will see what happens with that. And then also we have on the other in the other, another part of the system of Lumina, and a different part of the system, we have uh, the Saurian soldiers, Beta, Boss, and more. General Gaster leading them, uh, finding the Ravinian flagship and their where is he? There he is. The Ravinian flagship, which is safeguarding their prime minister of the world of Sor, uh, and they happen to know a whole lot of stuff apparently about what's going on. They seem to be the ones most in the know. These Ravinians, which includes Lieutenant J here, who went to get Gaster. Of course, yeah, they're all on. And he was then told by one of the other Ravinian soldiers when they arrived on the flagship that there was news of Aezic. And the news, of course, we heard this time was that now it's public, it's system-wide news and system-wide information that Aezic and the rest are now super wanted by everybody. Now that they're on Anagon, the pre-space world, which is a no-no, the biggest no-no in the whole star system. And then also the other piece of news that they heard was that Ravina is being attacked once more, because we heard in the very beginning of the story, episode 1, that Ravina had been attacked by the Royal Ascendancy. And now the Ascendancy returns to Ravina to finish the job, perhaps. And so the Ravinian soldiers, the exiled Ravinian soldiers, including Jay here, got to make a plan. So they do make a plan to not only Jay is going to go to Aezic on Anagon. Gaster, the general of the Saurian military, who is again the one called specifically by the Prime Minister of Sor for help, because they're in fact friends. He is going back to Sor to right some wrongs and to muster a military to go to the aid of Ravina. Rend, of course, we I guess we didn't hear too much about him. We're still in his place. Omen is with Valanth, who kind of sold himself out to save the others by just allowing Omen to use him as he will, just as long as he doesn't execute the others, which Omen, we heard from Hawk, was not going to actually abide by that. Oshu, the chief of the natives, again, just getting ready for war there on Anagon with Aezic and the others. And we also heard one little spoiler there, if you didn't quite catch it, at the end of the little scene with the Ravinian soldiers and the Saurians on the Ravinian flagship. You heard the Prime Minister of Sor tell Captain Zin, some captain named Zin, not to worry, and that they would rescue his brother, who of course we know they were already talking about this entire time. One of the two dire missions that they're now on is to rescue Aezic and the rest from Anagon, because they, I don't know, because they care about Aezic, I guess, just like everybody else seems to. So that's what's happening. I guess that's it, right? That's where we're at. No new characters just yet, but we're getting closer to having a bunch of new characters. We're at 29 right now. These again are AI generated images. Just so you're wondering, if you were wondering why Abula's fingers are interconnected with each other, that's not what happens when you do that. You silly AI. It's hilarious. But yeah, I'm hoping just to spark some interest in some great artists out there. But these are much better than I could have done on my own. It gives you guys a good idea of what the characters are supposed to look like, I would say. Mostly they're as they should be. There's maybe a few little things off here and there. The clothing is like sometimes good, sometimes not so good. Faces are sometimes pretty close, sometimes a little further off. But for the most part, they're quite good. AI generated though, so don't get too excited about it. I wouldn't mind having some
some art cards, though, made at some point. We do trading card games here, of course, if you're not aware of that. Pokemon trading card game is collection series is one of our big things here. And so, I love, I'm a collector more than a player or anything like that of the games, the TCGs, but I do love me some gaming. So, we make games here, we make stories here here at, I was going to say here at Beyond Lumina, here at Nerds Templar. Beyond Lumina being our first public story or game. So yeah, and again, we're more than halfway through this one now, and we're breezing through. In fact, I just wrote, because I've kind of been writing this as I went. I'm a little further ahead than I was before because I took a bit that pretty long break. But now actually, I just wrote this episode maybe a month ago. It wasn't that long ago, so we're pretty recent here. And everything else is going to be very recent as well, because obviously, if this was a month ago, everything else is at least that, or at most that, I should say. So yeah, I was going to mention something though about games, wasn't I? Yeah, art card. I was just going to say art card. We make games, trading card games, but I also, because of that, I have the ability to at least make like some type of cards. At least cards that are good enough for slight collectible art card things, and I may make those things to give out, things to especially with Pokemon purchases, card purchases, things like that. We have our TCG Player shop online store as well, so ways that we can, of course, and we'll have other ways of giving back to people in the future, especially as we approach 100 subs here. Yeah, I did promise once we hit 100, we will do our first Pokemon giveaway. I don't know exactly how that's going to happen yet, but I do want to do it. I want to do it obviously the best, safest way I can for everybody involved, and the most efficient and just the best way I can to actually get something to somebody, right? So yeah, I have Discord. That's like one of the biggest ways would be like the way whoever, like if we could get the biggest type of pool of people. I want it to be I'm hoping that it would be subs, but really it'd just be anybody I guess who would want to enter probably. And as long as whoever wins can verify who they are, that's the biggest thing. So the verification process. That's why maybe sometimes I'm thinking it'd be easier just to do it from Discord, but then it's very limited to only the people who actually join Discord, which doesn't tend to be that many people. And in fact, some of you younger folk don't have Discord and can't get on it. So again, if you had your parents' permission to get in one of these giveaways and you won, again, that'd be the thing. I need a way to know where to send stuff, basically. So that all being said, yeah, once that all starts, we get into that, and again, with other sales we make, I would love to send art cards of our own stuff. And right now, what we have is Beyond Lumina. I also have some other interesting plans with Beyond Lumina. We have some board games in the works for Beyond Lumina, a few in fact, and also I've talked before about, and I don't know if I would ever do it, but it is kind of an interesting thing that could always fill some time slots once we start. I would really like the channel to grow into having multiple things a day, honestly, happening. Whether it be all live streams or a mixture of streams and videos, who knows? Probably the latter, a mixture. But one thing I've done in the past is like AI video game tournament things, like just basically spectating AI doing stuff, because I don't know, I find that pretty interesting myself. It's just like watching any other game, it's just watching AI do it instead, which can be funny sometimes, could be, you never know. So like Super Smash Bros. Actually is one that's good for that. Civilization 6, Age of Empires 2, two other ones that I enjoy, kind of, just like setting up the AI and seeing what'll happen. I've done Heroes of the Storm, but that's very limited since they don't make any new heroes for that. And the last one, which is maybe the best one, would be actually the WWE 2K series. So 2K20 and on. I don't know what all of them are, but basically all of them have like the best customization, not only with characters, but also with like the way you can set up like an entire, they call it My Universe. You set up an entire universe where you control the shows, the matches, the the characters that are in it, the different titles, everything that's going on, and it's pretty great. And then you can let it just run if you want. Again, AI, just doing the AI the whole time. Watch it if you want. Um, just what do you call it? Simulate it if you want. You can watch one character play through if you want, something like that. But you can set everything up and let it go through, and things change. Like characters will get better. They'll have like temporary power rankings. They'll get better. They're like different like psychological attributes will change over time. So like so much great awesome stuff creation wise, customization wise in the WWE 2K series. This sounds like an ad for WWE 2K at this point, but I'm just saying that there's so much. It has a lot of flaws as well, of course, but um, there's so much of that stuff on top of the fact that you can do the AI spectating with all of that. Yeah, almost the sky's the limit. I would really like to do a Beyond Lumina Fight Club on WWE 2K, and maybe at some point in the future create all of the Beyond Lumina characters that I would want at least to participate in the Fight Club. And then again, set them up in the My Universe and let them go at it. But it would be even better if we had people that were into that kind of thing to help us make those characters, especially to make like the archetypes of like their skills and stuff. But I think that'd be super fun. I don't know if anyone else would be interested in anything like that. If you are, let me know in the comments. Because again, it'd just probably be another thing to do once or twice a week. Just chill on the stream at some point, hang out, and watch the AI beat each other up pretty much, and see, and again, just see what happens, see what Beyond Lumina character comes out on top, right? And get some live play-by-play action going. I don't know, it'd be pretty fun. I actually, on a different channel than this, streamed, I believe it was just Heroes of the Storm. I streamed an entire season. I think it was like a 12-week season week again. I think I did it like almost every day or something. But like a 12-day, we'll call it season rounds of the Heroes of the Storm, different matchups, set up like teams of 5 with the different characters, set up all the matchups for every week, every day, and played them through, and then did a playoffs and did the championship. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, it was super fun. It was on like just a different. It was on a different channel, many fewer subs than this, but it got quite a few views. I thought. I'm pretty sure, if I can remember correctly. I think I've done maybe some other ones that I definitely wouldn't mind doing other ones than more than just the WWE Beyond Lumina on here. I love watching the Age of Empires 2 and the Civ 6, so those are always fun, in my opinion. Heroes of the Storm I probably would never do again because it's just super limited. Oh yeah, and of course, Super Smash Bros. I was just starting to kind of set everything up kind of recently. Just realized that was a thing like a few months ago or something. So that's that's another one that's very possible. It's also very much more family friendly. Not that, I mean, WWE 2K, if we set it up all ourselves, it's fine. AoE 2 and Civ 6 are also family friendly enough, but I mean, Smash Bros. is Smash Bros. So you may just see Super Smash Bros. AI coming up, but it's not quite as good as the WWE because it doesn't have as much of it doesn't have all the customization. It doesn't have like all the changes that happen through your universe, through your series, through your you want to call it a season or whatever. Anywho, that's all that. That's just again another thing that we could possibly do on here. Speaking of other stuff we're doing on here, finally in closing, I suppose. I would love to. So the regular schedule is TCG Live, Pokemon TCG Live Monday mornings. All the morning streams are 9 a.m. Eastern. For the Monday one, it's maybe 9:30 a.m. A little later than 9 Eastern Standard Time. The Friday is the only evening one, 6:30 p.m. And then we don't stream Sundays, but every other day we're here in the morning, other than Friday, we're here in the evening. But Monday, TCG Live, Pokemon online game, trading card game that is. Tuesday, we do our smaller Pokemon trading card game collection stream. Wednesday is this. Again, just same as Saturdays. It's this. And then Thursdays is our non-Pokemon collection stream. Can be anything from Disney Lorcana, Yu-Gi-Oh, the new Union Arena Bleach, maybe even some Star Wars Unlimited, maybe even some more sports cards in the future. So it can be any of those on Thursday mornings. Friday evenings are big Pokemon collection stream, and then Saturday mornings is this. I'm trying to, so some of the ones I'm hoping to do in the future consist of an extra TCG live stream, which will probably be either Wednesday or Thursday evening, I'm thinking. I'm also going to probably add another Pokemon collection stream in, and then maybe do another non-Pokemon stream. So we'll pretty much have a TCG collection stream every day of the week, other than like either Monday or Saturday, and then also Sunday, of course, because we're still not going to stream unless I do a Philosophy 101 stream for you guys, something completely different, which I'm actually, you know, qualified to do more. I guess you don't really need to be qualified to do any of this stuff, but I do actually have a degree in philosophy and theology, so it's possible on Sundays we'll do some Philosophy 101 streams in the future. But then, so yeah, 3 Pokemon collection streams, 2 non-Pokemon TCG collection streams. At some point in the future, that's kind of what we're working toward. And then 2 TCG live streams at some point. We're also going to do like a Monday or a morning and evening, hopefully like almost every day. That's what we're shooting for. Going to bring back the Temple Foundry stream so I can talk about different creations here and there that are happening on in here at Nerds Templar, especially as a lot of those are getting more and more created. We have a bunch of games we play as a family here already, have for a while, well before I even talked about them on stream. So I mean, there's games that are ready. We need to get to the point where we can become like a true game company, though. And then once we hit that point, once I know the route to take, then we can do more and more of that, especially at like a paid subscribership membership thing. We'll be able to release a little more info. Again, if we have a Patreon, if we have a Kickstarter, especially that is related specifically to Nerds Templar games and game creation, then obviously that Kickstarter will have tons of different information for those that are supporting that way, actually monetarily supporting the thing. You'll have a bunch more info, definitely as much as I can give, maybe even more, just tidbits here and there. And as things get started, man, these things are all like ready to go. I'm telling you, we just need like the production and that's it, and a publisher, stuff like that, and money. That's what it comes down to. As usual, that's what it comes down to. But on that note, I do think I have a good in for all of this. I talked about before, and so it's very possible that one of these games I'm in the process of creating, I can partner with somebody who's already well established, and not in like games, but somebody who might be interested in sort of dipping their feet into the world of games, game creation, game publishing, board game publishing, if you will, trading card game publishing. I'll give that much of a spoiler. And this might be a really good in for doing more games just solely as Nerds Templar Gaming, if we can get some publicity that way. So that's kind of the goal. You just got a lot more info than you were probably expecting here. You may have tuned out already if you're watching this VOD-wise just for Beyond Lumina stuff. And if you just tuned in randomly live, then hi. You're probably not here, but that's okay. Again, I said it in the beginning, I don't do it for people actually tuning in live. You won't know what's happening if you just tuned in and tried listening to the story, because it's episode 16, people. Obviously not how stories work. Just so you know, if you're not aware, you can't just tune into an episode 16 and expect to know what's happening and to, find it interesting. Especially with my monotonous voice, doing all of the voices. That's another thing. I'd love to have a remastered version of this once it's all done, maybe with some other voice actors, especially a female one for the female parts. Man, that would just be so much better quality-wise. As well as, the music's okay. I think the stuff that I came up with, those soundscapes, but if those could like be remixed and then made, put into the story in such a way that it actually matches what's happening in the story, that along with a couple different voice actors would make this so much better. But anyway, I guess that's it, guys. I got a ton of other stuff I got to do, trying to play some catch up. I actually wanted to do a random TCG Live Pokemon stream today. I don't think it's going to happen unless maybe this evening, but I still don't think it's going to happen. I got to pull a ton of peppers out of the ground before they freeze. That's like my biggest concern right now, and there's so many, it's going to take me so long. So I guess I'm going to do that. I also need to write so much of Beyond Lumina because these stories are coming out so fast, and I am not writing them as fast as I was hoping, so I need to do that as well. Those are the two reasons I'm giving for why I can't do another TCG live stream tonight. But it's okay. Like I said, I'm going to try to do 2 in the future, 2 a week, as we start filling out more and more of this schedule. And I think there was maybe something else I was going to add into the rotation of weekly streams / videos. There's of course going to be more and more different collection videos coming out as time goes. If ever in the future I had an editor, we would have tons, so many more videos on top of the streams we do, because there would be somebody to actually do those. And I just don't have the time to do everything. That's what it comes down to. There's so much. There's so many things that need done. And because of that, I'm going to stop rambling to nobody. I will catch you guys, though, in the next one, especially those VOD watchers in the future that want to get all this extra spicy info from Beyond Lumina. Speaking of spicy, I love spicy peppers. That's what I'm pulling out of the ground. But this spicy info, extra info from Beyond Lumina. I hope to catch you in the next one, episode 17. If you were wondering what the I meant for the name of this one, it could have also, I guess, meant, we could have also called it The Calm. The next one is called The Storm, as you may have guessed. Either works because it's the calm before the storm, right? Or, of course, it's the eye of the storm, which is what they're caught in, because they're all right in the middle of what's been happening. So anyway, that being said, I will catch you in that episode 17 this Wednesday morning, this coming Wednesday morning. 9 a.m.-ish, we'll start the stream. 9:30-ish, we'll start the video. Watching it together, that's when it drops. Normally, the actual video. Other than that, Pokemon on Pokemon TCG collection stuff Tuesday morning, Friday evening, TCG Live Monday morning, random non-Pokemon collection stream Thursday, and then, of course, Beyond Lumina Wednesday and Saturday. I'll catch you guys in the future sometime. Randy, Nerds Templar. Peace out!